Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to share my personal story of battling autism and how that all looked and what an absolute hot mess I was for quite a while. I'm going to get really vulnerable here, so if you're interested, stick around. And I am Sue Simmons. I am the founder of Equinox Family Consulting. And hi, Karen. And I am the creator of the Better Behavior Bootcamp for ASD moms. And if you're an ASD mom, I want to help you get your power back. I want to teach you the skills to manage difficult behavior. I want you to feel competent as a parent. And I want to help you cultivate a more positive and loving relationship with your ASD child. Oh, thanks for the love. Thanks for the love. And I am at the cottage. As you can see, the background is different here, and I don't have my lighting or my microphone, so I hope you can hear me okay. So, hey, before I get started, if you have not yet downloaded my e-guide to understanding autism and difficult behavior, you can just write in the comments below guide. And our Facebook group is growing like crazy, which is so exciting. If you want to join our Lemons to Lemonade ASD Moms group, please type in lemons down below. And all right, here we go. So welcome to episode number 12 of To the Spectrum and Beyond, My Story. So, you know, like most of you, I'm sure, leading up to my son's birth, there was so much anticipation. I read every book. I was going to be the best mom in the world, ha ha. And, I decorated his nursery. I sewed curtains. I did it all. And he showed up right on time, and it was a lovely experience, you know, although I have to say my husband was not a baby guy, and I figured out what was going on with that a little later on, and I've made peace with it, just so you know. Everything was pretty cool until my son turned 3. And then it was like everything changed on a dime. And I was so confused. He did not want to play with me. He didn't want anything to do with me. All he wanted to do was line up his Hot Wheels. And he had a real thing with Hot Wheels. So we had tons of them. So all he wanted to do was line things up. Blocks. No, we can't play with them. We line them up. And you know, I didn't know what was going on. And not only that, but every time I tried to engage with him, he would just turn away. When it was bath time, bedtime, you know, mealtime, I would have an epic meltdown on my hands. And I started to get so anxious. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I didn't know what to do. My husband didn't spend nearly as much time with my son as I did, so he didn't really get it. And he was a little more off to the side, and it was horrible. No one got it. That was before, you know, so many kids were diagnosed with autism, and so I didn't have a clue what was going on. I felt so alone. I remember that feeling so clearly. It was just like I was alone in the world, and I did not know what was going to happen. We had doctor's appointments and so on, but no one, you know, he looked like a perfectly normal kid. I cried all the time. I cried like day in, day out. I lost it with my husband. I was just a basket case. I was a total basket case. I was constantly walking around the house just with tears running down my face. And I felt like a complete failure. a complete failure. I left my job to be with him, thinking that that was what I should do. And I'm sure that, you know, most of you or many of you have done that or contemplated that. My husband worked on the odd Saturday, so I had to get a friend to come and hang out with me because I couldn't be alone with my son. Like, try that one on. I'm sure you can relate to some extent, but talk about feeling like the lowest of the low. You know, I didn't want to go out anywhere. I couldn't take him out anywhere. So I did decide in the end that I had to get out. So I joined a mom's group, disaster. I joined a music group for kids, disaster. Swimming, disaster, meltdowns. I didn't know what to do. People were looking at me like I was a crazy person. It was just horrible. I thought I was losing my mind. I really, really did. So I went and got some, hello, Amy. Thank you so much for joining us. Lovely of you to come. So we eventually got the diagnosis 6 months after that through the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. And they did all kinds of interviews with me and my husband. And at this time, it started to dawn on me that, okay, I get it. My husband is an Aspie. And that answered so many questions. And I have made peace with it. He wouldn't have a problem with me saying this as I am. But that didn't help me because now I knew why my husband wasn't involved and nothing was different with my son. I was still a basket case, and at least I knew what was going on. But, and I'll never forget, I have to tell you a story about that day that we got the diagnosis. We had a van at that time, right? Everyone who has a kid gets a van. And so we were driving through the parking lot at the CAMH, and our car got wedged up against the ceiling of the parking garage. Oh my God, we got stuck. And we had to, we were driving in reverse. Of course I was crying. And like, my son started flipping out, and what a freaking nightmare. What a nightmare. So we got out and I called my mom and I said, Mom, you know, Chase has autism. And she said, well, it's not going to kill him. Exact words. Well, thank you so much for your love and empathy. And, you know, to be honest, it almost did kill him later. It would be years later. Oh, so guess what? Then I get pregnant. Yay, right? And my pregnancy was a complete disaster. Something went weird with my blood. I had all kinds of doctor's appointments. I was so tired. I couldn't function. At 35 weeks, I had to have a bone marrow aspiration. And oh boy, that was loads of fun. There were about 4 nurses holding my hands because they were afraid I was going to go into labor. And a bone marrow aspiration is not fun. Anyways, she arrived and she was healthy, and things did resolve with my health for some unknown reason. Oh, so now I've got a new baby. I've got a son on the spectrum and a husband on the spectrum and a mom with untreated bipolar disorder who is doing all kinds of really wacky things and creating all kinds of drama in our family and with me. And I was still feeling oh so alone. And, you know, Jeff wasn't supporting me. He didn't get what was going on. He didn't have the patience to deal with my son. Talk about a fucking nightmare. I remember one time being in the grocery store. My son had a scrape on his cheek because he fell off his scooter. And so I was at the grocery store. Someone was looking after my daughter. Chase was sitting in the front of the cart, and I'm madly whipping around the grocery store just as fast as I can. And so my cart is pretty full, and I've got sunglasses on my head. And Chase wants something, I won't give it to him. And of course, I didn't know then what I know now. I just said no. And sure enough, he has a meltdown. Well, he takes my sunglasses, which were nice sunglasses, just goes like that, snaps them in two, throws them on the floor. I start freaking out. And there's a woman standing about 5 feet away from me, just glaring at me like, you are a bad mom. Like, what did you do to your child? Well, I looked at her and I said two very choice words, and you might imagine what they were. And I just grabbed Chase out of the cart and walked out and left my grocery cart full. And that was just a splendid day. Yes. And of course, I didn't have groceries at the end of it. So yeah, that was a fun one. That was really good. And then there was the day when I decided to get up really early. I made spaghetti sauce so I could be all prepared. And I had the crock pot bubbling away, and my son was having a meltdown. He got up on the kitchen counter, just glaring at me, and slowly, ever so slowly, pushed the crock pot off the kitchen counter onto the floor. What a frickin' mess it was. And you can imagine how I responded to that. Not fun, not a good experience. Oh, thinking back, what a hard time that was. So, you know, moms, I totally get it. I have been in, that was the lowest part of my life, I swear. So a friend of mine asked to come and visit me, and she's a real straight shooter. And within being in our house, she was staying overnight for about half an hour, and seeing what was going on, she sat me down, poured me a glass of wine, and she said, "You're a freaking mess." And I said, "No kidding. Thanks for pointing that out." And she said, "You know, like, step back and look at this picture." She said, "You know, would you put your son on a plane with a pilot in your condition?" And I said, "Well, duh, of course I wouldn't." And she said, "Well, then how do you think you can parent your son in this condition? You know, you're a mess. You know, you can't even cope, let alone, you know, connect with him or parent him." And she got through to me. And she was right. I knew she was right, but I was too frickin' proud to reach out for help. And so I started a support group. And it was a really great group. We had about 30 moms at, you know, most meetings. And it was really good to hear that there were so many women who were experiencing the same difficulty as me. Everyone had their own versions, but we had the same feelings, of just utter exhaustion, feeling like a failure. Oh, thank you for the love. And we could lean on one another's shoulders and offer support, but really no solutions. And then one day, one of the moms brought in a brochure on a program called Relationship Development Intervention. It was really thick, and the claims for this program were really lofty, and I thought, okay, I got to check this out. So I did, and it turned out the first Canadian to be certified lived about 20 minutes away from me, which was nothing short of a miracle. So I called her and I spoke with her, and I said to my husband, "I don't care if we have to, you know, we're doing this, because, you know, I'm going to be dead, and, you know, my son's going to run away from home or something," right? It just wasn't working. I needed help. Oh, so RDI, or Relationship Development Intervention, I'm not going to talk about this for long, but it's an intensive parent-based program where you work with a consultant, and it's not meant to be a short-term thing. It's meant to be a longer-term thing. And so there's sort of two parts. The first part is reestablishing a more normal parent-child hierarchy, because, as you know, things just go completely out of whack, and your child is running the house, you know, or, you know, ruling the roost, and you're running behind, you know, trying to put out fires. So we got that part under control, which was amazing. I began to feel competent as a mom. It was a miracle. The second part of the program is the parents are coached to reestablish the child's cognitive, social, and emotional development. So it is leading edge. Sorry, it's based on the fact that the brain can change. It's based on the most recent research in autism, in neurodevelopment, and child development. So, anyways, we got things back under control. It was, I remember the day my son came into the kitchen and said, "Mom, can I help you do something in the kitchen?" And I remember just looking at him and just, happy tears rolling down my cheeks. It was so amazing. And a couple of days after that, he fell off his top bunk, and we were sitting in the hospital for 4 hours. Thank goodness he didn't break anything. But they stuck us in a casting and splinting room, and I had learned how to communicate differently with him. So I started to sort of making curious comments like, I wonder what they do with that stuff. I wonder how they use that. It looks like we were opening boxes and stuff, right? And believe it or not, we had like a really amazing conversation. It was like a back and forth, honest to goodness conversation. It was so cool. And, it changed everything. I learned how to, forward his development through how I was showing up. And I learned how to manage his behavior, but it was so much bigger than that. So that was a huge, awakening for me. And once we got things back on track, I decided that I wanted to become certified. I wanted to help people do what had been done for me. And I was talking to other moms, and I was sickened by how moms were told to, step aside, let the professionals do their job here. You get in the back seat of the bus, we'll take it from here. And I didn't like that. And I knew how useless and frustrated and marginalized these moms felt. And I wanted to have an impact on that. I wanted to change things and show people that autism is not a life sentence. And I wanted to help people see that their children had the potential that others did not see, that there was more to autism than just behavior. Children could have quality of life, and so could their families. So I studied for 2 years under the psychologist who developed the program. It was a lot of work, and but I loved it. It was fascinating. I learned so much, and I became certified in 2006. And so I have been doing that ever since. And I've been working one-on-one with families, and it is an incredible program. It's intensive, and it's not inexpensive, and it's not funded yet. So the first message I have for you is there is hope. But if you feel lost and confused and frustrated and inferior and less than and marginalized, get how, you need to look after yourself. You can't do this without feeling like you're healthy and, you've got support. Don't try and do it alone. Don't try and be a hero. You're not helping yourself or your child. My son is now 21. He's working. He's got friends. No, life isn't perfect. And yes, we had some difficult times with mood disorders. Our kids are 50% more likely to experience a mood disorder. And so, build a relationship with your child. Don't just think about now, think about the future. If you can manage and cope and thrive and connect with your child, when my son was going through his depression and suicide attempts, and it was a disaster. I can't imagine what would have happened if I hadn't had the relationship that I had with him. That was a godsend, for real. It was a godsend. So do what you can now, get help. So last year when I was, my daughter was struggling with an eating disorder. So yeah, things have been tough. I was in Ottawa for 6 months, and I started doing research. I knew that I wanted to help more people. And sort of along the way, I also became a certified professional coach and a certified EFT or tapping practitioner so that I could have more tools to support moms in my work and their children. So I did some research. I surveyed, I talked with 40 moms, and I surveyed over 150 families because I wanted to find out what their biggest problem was. And I wanted to create a program that was not the RDI program, but a shorter, more affordable program that would give them the skills that they needed just to feel competent as parents. And sure enough, it was behavior. Behavior, anxiety, and fear of the future were the 3 things. So I put together the Better Behavior Boot Camp while I was away with my daughter while she was getting treatment. And I ran the first program in January, and I've run 4 now, and they've all been very, very successful. It is really cool for moms to have one-on-one support with me, to be in a group where they're learning together. We have recorded calls, so it's online. There are 10 people in a group. It's progressive learning. The moms set goals at the beginning, and this time around we're giving worksheets related to learning each week. So each week builds on the previous, and it's a real eye-opener for the moms. They are like, holy cow, I never knew that. They learn stuff that they didn't even know was out there about autism, because all moms are told really is your child's got behavior problems, let's give him or her behavior therapy. And that's more or less what most moms are told. And, then they're told to step aside. And I don't like that. Your child is going to be in your life forever, for as long as you're around. And you are ultimately responsible for his or her future. It's going to be a time when therapy is going to end. And you're going to need to know how to connect with your child, how to manage difficult behavior, how to feel competent. And so that's what this boot camp is all about. So I'm going to read a couple of testimonials from people that have been in the group, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. So here's one from Marlene, who was in my very first boot camp group. Before meeting Sue, I felt helpless and overwhelmed as a mother to my son with ASD. Participating in Sue's boot camp taught me how to take back control of my life and provided me the tools for a happier and healthier family life. My son has participated in a number of ABA-based programs that were of no help to us as parents. Sue's focus on development rather than behavior has truly been eye-opening and life-changing. In the couple of months I worked with Sue, our family is less stressed, more connected, and problematic behavior has decreased. I also enjoyed the way the boot camp is run because it gave me the chance to connect with other ASD moms and to share our experiences. Thank you, Sue, for all your help and support. And thank you, Marlene, for that. So the boot camp is an 8-week online group coaching program. You can join from wherever. Each week, resources are provided to help you kind of deepen your learning. It's fun, we laugh and we have a good time. So it's It's, you know, it is intensive because it's 8 weeks. And this time I'm going to be offering support after the group is finished. So, and each of the members in the groups go into another group after the program so that they can keep stay in contact with me and I can support them. And so here's another testimonial. This is from Julie in Toronto. In the 6 years since my son was diagnosed with autism, he has had every kind of therapy and support available. Yet in all this time, I still found myself unsure of how to manage his behaviors without resorting to consequences and reward charts. These methods often failed, leaving me frustrated and lacking confidence in a mom. Well, boy, can I relate to that. This program shifted my focus from behavior to development and gave me back my power. In a few weeks, I learned how to stop playing drill sergeant and to communicate with my son so he could really listen. I learned to understand the stages of anxiety, the difference between a meltdown and a tantrum, and how to respond accordingly. I discovered my own stress triggers and how my own reactions influence my son's behavior. And that's really important because we just think this behavior is just about the child, but it's not, because we are in a relationship with our child, right? So how we show up has an impact on how our child in turn responds. Reframing my thoughts and practicing daily self-care affect how I show up and interact with my son. I discovered how to set effective limits and how to praise effectively. All these seemingly small changes added up to a huge difference. Not only did my 9-year-old start listening more often, I felt closer and more connected to him than I have in a long time. Recognizing that no two families are the same, Sue took the time to get to know us in order to provide personalized feedback for specific challenges affecting each family. I would highly recommend her program to a parent raising a child with ASD or any parent for that matter. And this, what you would learn in the boot camp is also very much applicable to your neurotypical children as well. So this isn't just about autism. So let's see, I'll read one more. As a single parent, I was at my lowest when I joined the BBB. I felt lost, out of control, and like I couldn't do any more to help my son. Then an angel appeared in the support group I'm part of. I contacted her. From that point on, the clouds parted and my mushy brain disappeared. I got my power back. I look forward to our weekly video conference classes. Sue is an amazing teacher who has been there and completely understood how I felt. She is personable, relatable, and always takes time for support. Guidance is her superpower. I highly recommend this program. If you put the content into action, you will see the changes very quickly. Thank you so much, Sue, for changing our lives. I got goosebumps when I read that. So I have 3 questions that I want to ask you. So, you know, would you feel less afraid of the future if you felt competent as a parent? So if you felt like you knew what you were doing, would you fear the future less? Would you feel more competent as a mom if you knew how to manage difficult behavior? So give that one some thought. Wouldn't life be nicer if you felt you knew how to connect with your child? So if you answered yes to any of those questions, I strongly recommend that you consider My Better Behavior Bootcamp. It's leading edge. There's really nothing out there like it. And I also offer a money-back guarantee. I'm so confident that it will help you. So we are now taking applications for, there are 2 groups starting in September, one starting on the 19th and another one starting on the 20th. It is by application. I need to make sure that the group has a good mix of people in it. So I'm going to ask you to book a call with me to talk about the boot camp if you are interested and if this sounds like something that might be a good fit for you. By the way, all calls are recorded. If you want family members to watch or your hubby to watch, you know, that's great. I want the information to be shared within your family. So I think Karen is putting a link down below so that you can connect with me and book directly into my schedule to talk with me. So I'm just going to quickly tell you what's in the program. At the beginning, we set goals. I teach the moms how to use EFT or tapping, and how to use it with their children. ASD is a neurodevelopmental disorder, not a behavioral problem. What is behavior? The importance of your attitude towards your child's behavior. Self-care is a big one. You know, I get the moms involved in daily self-care so they start to feel human again. How to minimize a meltdown, what to do when your child isn't listening, slowing the pace of life so that you can breathe. Self-awareness, why it is so critical that you understand what's going on for you so you can manage your own stress. How are you showing up? More of anything is not better unless it's love. So, you know, more therapy isn't always better. More of anything isn't always better. So this is about quality over quantity, communication, understanding how we process communication, how to shift the way you communicate so your child can hear you, how to stop nagging, how to set limits, how to show up in a way that will influence your child to engage with you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. How to stop prompting so you're not driving your child crazy. How to praise effectively. How to just hang out with your child without making demands. We are putting so many demands on our kids. It's no wonder we have so much behavioral difficulty because they're little people. They're just like us in so many respects. We're doing this to them. We're doing that to them. We're taking them here and there, and we wind up being chauffeurs, not knowing how to manage. And, you know, it's setting us up for failure. We need to change things, and we can. And you can learn to feel competent, and I want to show you how. And I'm so passionate about this program. I am out to change things. I'm on a mission to help moms see autism differently and how they can have an impact on their child's autism. Okay, I'm not saying therapy is bad. I'm not saying they don't need this or that, but they need to feel competent, and they can. And I want you to see it firsthand for yourself. So book a call with me. The price for the boot camp is on the sales page. It's $597 US. The price is going up in January. There is so much support, so much information, so much guidance, so much one-on-one offered in this program. And if, you know, you'll get your money back if you don't get what you came for. So get in when you can. These groups are going to fill up quickly. And I want to talk to you. I want to support you. I want you to feel like a human being again, and you can. So thank you for listening. Trust me, I have been where you are. I get it. And it doesn't have to be that way. So please schedule a call with me. Let's talk. Let's get you feeling better again. Let's get you back on track and feeling good. So I want to thank you so much for being here today. If you're watching this after the fact, you can download the guide by keying in guide. You can book a call with me. You can get the link to join our Facebook group. We're changing things. It's coming. And thank you so much for being here today. I love being here with you guys. And I will see you next week. And thank you so much. Please take care of yourselves. You know, if you love your kids, take care of their moms. Bye for now. Take care.